Hey y'all. So over the years, a handful of times, I've seen a certain bumper sticker on vehicles, and the bumper sticker, kind of paraphrased, said something like, "Have you eaten today? Thank a farmer." And that's a pretty simple statement, but how true that is. Thank a farmer, thank a truck driver, thank everyone who's had a hand in that process along the way. But I think the point is that the whole process, kind of the genesis of it, of us getting our food, begins with the farmer. Farming is something that I know a little bit about. I grew up on a farm till about the age of 19 or 20. My dad was a farmer, and Dad, he loved to farm. It was in his blood, you might say. But what happened with Dad, he had to stop farming in the year 2000 because that year he essentially paid to work. And what I mean by that is by the time he used the diesel fuel and got the seed and put it in the ground, cultivated the crop, sprayed, harvested, fertilized, did whatever he needed to do that year, that, and coupled with the markets and the grain prices were no good that year, he essentially paid to work that year because he put more into making the crop than he actually made from harvesting the crop. And that, coupled also with the previous year, he pretty much had a break-even year, net zero, you might say, where he didn't really make anything. And that's one thing, farmers have dealt with a lot over the years. Now, I remain pretty uneducated on the whole, on the finer points of this topic. So anything I say, I kind of paint with a broad brush. Just going by what I see and what I hear. But it seems like our ag world and our farming world is just constantly evolving. Now, it's been a long time since I've had anything to do with that world, and then being younger, I really didn't know all the ins and outs of it. But this is a topic that affects a lot of people, and it's something that concerns a lot of people now about a very important issue. Sorry guys, I don't know how this looks on camera. I am basically walking into the sun, so I hope it looks all right. But to me, when I thought about speaking about this, when I first thought about talking about it, I was going to make the distinction in my mind between the small-time family farmer and the big corporate farmer. But the more I thought about it, I thought I didn't want to do that. I thought, really it's just farmers to me. It's just farmers. Because to me, it doesn't matter how much ground the industrialists break and the corporations farm, and no matter for how long. The big corporations and the industrialists, they'll never be farmers to me. So I'm not going to call them that. They're businessmen. To me, the farmer is the families. They're the families who've been at it for usually several generations, and it's kind of in their blood maybe. And they farmed for the benefit of their families, and they farmed, their farming has benefited their communities, and ultimately it's benefited the nation. Now, I assume the problem and problems that they're facing is not just in the US here, but it's probably a global phenomenon. And like I say, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it seems like more and more that the corporations and the industrialists are just kind of laying siege to all the agricultural land more and more in our country, and I guess probably other countries as well. And it makes me think, guys, you know what? What are we going to see in the future? Maybe not too far away. Are we going to see fully automated tractors out there? I mean, they may have those now, but we're going to see fully automated tractors on million acres, controlled by GPS and AI, that have the Walmart Spark logo on them. You know, is Walmart going to be farming next? Who's buying the land? Is it Monsanto or whoever? Is it China that's buying up America one piece of ground at a time? It seems like that's one of the strategies, maybe. And I'm not really a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but I do have sense enough to know if you have a big global corporation, or even a small conglomerate handful of corporations controlling the world agricultural business scene, then it seems like those, if they have the monopoly on that, it seems like they have the power and control over all the people of the earth, doesn't it? You know, if they're controlling the entire food source. And kind of the trouble to me is, well, that's the trouble, I'd say. But another thing, it's like, what's it doing to the farmers? You know, what's it doing to these small rural communities all over the nation that, you know, places like little towns in Kansas and Iowa, Missouri and Indiana, Illinois, Mississippi, Arkansas, wherever, where for years and years, the lifeblood of those small rural communities that basically sit in just a sea of agricultural fields, their lifeblood has been farming. That's their economy, that's their life. But as the industrialists take over, you know, are these people are the corporations sending their kids to these schools in these small farming communities? Are they patronizing the cafes and the restaurants? Are they shopping at your feed and fertilizer stores or your parts stores? Probably not. And you know, when these people put a crop in the ground, these corporations, you know, I don't think they view it like farmers do. They don't see that they're planting beans or milo or wheat or corn. And they don't see that coming up. They don't see those crops coming up in the field. All they see coming up in the field is dollars. And I think they'll do, you know, anything they have to get to that bottom line. They'll put the newest genetically modified seed that just came out of the lab in the ground, and it's got a patent on it that nobody can buy it, it can't reproduce itself. You know, they'll use glyphosate or whatever, you know, any kind of harmful chemical that eventually goes into the ground and the water and our bodies. just so they can meet their bottom line and make their millions. It's a tough situation, guys. Sounds like to me. Well, what can we do? You say, what can we do? I don't know. I'd say one thing, it may not really make much of a difference, but if you can know where your food's coming from, like if you've got somebody local like that raises hogs or cattle and butchers their own beef or pork or whatever, and you can buy from that person, do that. Buy from a local dairy farmer, buy local on your eggs, you know, use farmers markets for getting produce, and at least it might be the principle of the thing. But things are changing, and they may not always be changing for the better. Like I say, we can be realistic without being pessimistic. If there is anything good going on out there for farmers, if you're a farmer, I'd like to hear about it. But I appreciate you if you're a farmer watching this. And we all should, because we'd be in a heap of trouble without you guys. All right, well, appreciate you. I'm going to continue on with my walk today, and we'll see you next time.